Good evening, and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we're live from Studio Vanguard. We're linked in with the following repeaters.
It would be Flagship, Rome, McDonough, Watkinsville, Toccoa, Jersey, Lula, Noonan, Columbus, Zebulon, Dallas, Ocala, Florida, Ottawa, Fort Mountain, Lookout Mountain, Chattanooga, Cades Cove, White Oak Mountain, Georgetown, and of course our VoIP service, Zello.
Tonight, our RF coverage is approximately 12 parsecs. This net takes place every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. I would like to thank everyone who has made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
And this is WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63. My name is Mike.
This is WQIR 514, Atlanta 947. My name's Julie.
And Atlanta 750, WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
On the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to hear about. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Guest check-ins are welcome from anyone with a valid FCC call sign. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in or sign out of the net. Also, you can tune in to our YouTube channel and follow along. Or even better, tune in after the net to watch your appearance on the network and hear how you sound to us right here in Studio Vanguard. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment so we know you were watching. These interactions mean the most to help our new channel grow. At this time, let's go to, what's our topic this week, Jeff?
In honor of National Pet Day, we are going to discuss our furry and feathered friends and pet stories.
Pet stories. Okay.
What kind of crazy pet tricks your pet may do, or funny and stories that you think could be worth sharing.
Well, hopefully 589 is out there and he can tell us about some of his trained fish.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Uh-huh. All right, well, let's go to Kate and see if we can catch up on what's going on.
All right.
This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751, Kate from high atop Mount Waleski, live in Studio C with this week's Catch Up with Kate, the latest NGGMRS sauce. We are just over 1 week away from the annual Smith Family North Georgia GMRS Barbecue Gathering at LL Farm. This annual event will take place on Saturday, April 20th, and please note, gates for entry will not be opening until 10:30 a.m. We will get an update here shortly from CB Smith, Gainesville 285, following Julie's tips. The next Westside Luncheon will take place this Saturday, April 13th at 11 a.m. The luncheon takes place on the second Saturday of every month. All are welcome to attend this luncheon at Taco Mac in Marietta. The address is 2650 Dallas Highway, Suite 110. For anyone who would like to attend, please be sure to RSVP with an email to rabbithole@nggmrs.org. This allows them to contact the restaurant and have enough seating available for all who would like to attend. In other news, the Rabbit Hole Net is Monday, April 15th. On the next episode, David and Lisa will be talking about prepackaged survival food. Because if you can survive on prepackaged survival food, you can pretty much survive anything. Sounds like a great conversation, so be sure to tune in next Monday. The next Skywar Net will be Tuesday, April 16th, and the topic of discussion will be lightning. Be sure to have your computer handy so that you can follow along. Also, please be sure to email us your spotter number if you have one so we can update our log. Send an email to skywarn@nggmrs.org. These are training nets, so please check in and be prepared to participate. More information and training materials can be found at noaa.gov/jetstream. Skywarn training nets are for the Chattanooga region only. If you have an interest in the Skywarn and are not in the Chattanooga area, you can find a local Skywarn group near you. Skywarn nets are held on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. only on the northern segment of the North Georgia GMRS Network. Let me break. Be sure to tune in for the Friday at 9 Simplex Challenge. Our ball ground repeater has been repaired and is back on the air. Our Simplex net will return to its normal schedule of meeting on the ball ground repeater at 8:30. If you haven't yet, you should engage in the Simplex exercise and find out what your Simplex coverage is and who your Simplex neighbors are. In the event of a real disaster, this could be vital information, and it's another fun way to engage in radio. Look for more information on Facebook or call out to Atlanta 250 sometime before the challenge for more details. The North Georgia GMRS KidsNet airs Saturday evening at 7 p.m. The KidsNet is for family members of North Georgia GMRS Network members or licensed guests. I'd like to thank all the parents who make the effort to engage their children in the magic of radio. The net is for youth only, 18 and under. However, parental guidance and coaching is allowed and expected. Let me break. And the Frank's Red Hot Sauce news of the week is the Mighty Flagship. Our Mighty Flagship repeater has had its transmit antenna replaced and its receive antenna repaired from storm damage. The duplexer has been removed and we're back to a dual antenna system. From reports so far, she's working better than ever. If you are interested, there is a short video on our YouTube channel of the new antenna being hoisted up the tower. So be sure to check out all of the videos we have on our YouTube channel, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions, suggestions, or spicy announcements for us to catch up on, please send me a note at kate@NGGMRS.org. We are North Georgia GMRS Network. This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. My name is Kate, and now back to you, Net Control.
I'm waiting for the repeater to drop. There we go. All right. Well, thank you for all those announcements and all that spicy news, Kate. Appreciate you bringing that to us each week and all the exciting information that comes with it. We're going to check in with CV here in a minute, but first, let's find out what Julie has for us this week on Julie's Tips.
Well, this is WQIR 514, Atlanta 947. My name is Julie. And this week, in honor of being National Pet Day and our topic being fur friends, we're going to talk about National Pet Day. And honestly, I've never heard of it. So I did a little digging around, and I learned that it was established in 2006 by a lady named Colleen Page. She established April 11th as National Pet Day to raise awareness of shelter animals and the huge need for fostering and or adopting. Did you know that over 6 million pets are surrendered to shelters each year nationally? Of that number, the SPCA estimates that approximately 920,000 animals are euthanized. That's really staggering and heartbreaking to think about. As a child, I was raised with many animals, but when it came to dogs, my parents only bought from breeders. Justin, Atlanta 946, his mother was a dog breeder. So honestly, we never gave shelter animals a second thought. It wasn't until moving to Georgia back in 2010 and befriending Atlanta 911 that first exposed us to dog rescues. Cassandra was very involved with the rescue group. She had many dogs at her house, and honestly, her hands were quite full. She had a beautiful German Shepherd that she needed help with, and she approached Justin and I, and we agreed to foster him until she found him a home. Well, it didn't take long for us to fall in love with him, and we were soon labeled as foster failures. This really opened my eyes to dogs in need, and we soon adopted our second dog, Penelope, from a local SPCA. Since then, Justin and I have been involved in a few dog rescues over the years, with Home for Good missioners being very near and dear to our hearts. They actively look for dogs whose time has ended with the shelters and are scheduled to be euthanized, and they're always looking for foster homes so that they can save even more dogs from an untimely death. Let me break. Justin, Penelope, and I have actually fostered many dogs through them, and even have been labeled, yes, once again, foster failure when Doogie came along. If you'd like more information about Home for Good missioners, send me an email and I'll send you their information. But whether you reach out to Home for Good missioners or you seek out shelters in your area, I encourage all of our listeners and viewers to consider fostering or adopting a dog or a cat or even a bird. In fact, there are rescue groups for a wide range of pets. And even if you already have a pet, your home can be a great place for a shelter pet to stay until he finds his forever home. This gives them a safe place to stay, saves them from an untimely death, and takes pressure off the shelters. It has truly been a very rewarding experience for us personally to be involved, and I believe it can be just as rewarding for you. And who knows, you may come across that special one that absolutely wins over your heart. Remember, if you have any questions or suggestions for upcoming new user tips and operating procedures, send me a note at julie@nggmrs.org. We are North Georgia GMRS Network, and this is WQYR 514, Atlanta 947. My name is Julie. Good night, everyone.
Good night, good night, Julie. Thank you for the tips, and yeah, good night, everyone. That's
the show.
That's a wrap.
yeah. Can I go home now? Thanks for the tips, and that's a little different take from what we typically talk about. There's nothing technical about rescuing a dog other than
Opening up your heart and your home.
that's right. And we've had a lot of dogs in and out, and some of them have been welcome to leave.
Well, we've loved them all,
but they've all
some,
been,
whew,
yeah, they've all brought their own personality. And they've all been a
Absolutely.
unique experience. Riley was something special, and that dog was so high energy, and he was too much for us.
he was cute. He was absolutely adorable when he was sleeping.
Yeah,
And
for
that was his
12
saving
minutes.
grace. Yeah.
But all in all, Riley was able to find a forever home,
Mm-hmm.
and he was adopted out, and we took on other fosters. We took on a foster. We had no idea how sick she was, and we took her in, and I don't know what her history was, but she did indicate she had very joyful.
She was well taken care of.
She had very joyful time with us, and even though it was short and it was difficult, it was a wonderful experience to be able to share that and be able to give her love, like she probably had never experienced, and that was quite the thing to be a part of, and we were there for her even at the very, very end. It was sad and it was heartbreaking.
But I tell you, Home for Good missioners was amazing group to be a part of, and that's how we acquired Luna, is who you're talking about, because they spared no expense when it came to her. When she came to us, she was a very large dog, and she had mobility issues. And at the time, we had your pickup truck and my Jeep Wrangler, and we knew that it would be a struggle to get her in and out of the vehicles because of her size. And I brought that concern to Lenora at Home for Good Missioners, and it wasn't a week later when a package arrived at the door, and it was a ramp, a dog ramp.
Yeah,
so
for the vehicle.
to get her in and out of the vehicle to help us with that. So kudos to them, because they truly take care of their dogs. And the beauty of fostering is that you can bring this animal into your home. You don't have to pay for food. You don't pay for vet bills. Everything is taken care of through the rescue. You are only hosting a safe place for that animal to stay. It gives them an opportunity to decompress, because it's very stressful in a shelter environment. Let me break. And it also socializes the animal. And so, it's just really good for you. It's good for the animal.
Makes them more adoptable.
It does.
Sometimes these dogs spend so much time in a shelter, they kind of forget how to be a dog. And so when you go to the shelter and you're looking at dogs that you might want to adopt, their real personality is kind of suppressed.
Yes.
But when you can bring that dog home and you can give that dog an environment that they can kind of become themselves again, and are not, in that shelter environment, they become more adoptable. And so that's a huge advantage to fostering, both for you and for the dog. So as you can tell, we can't recommend fostering enough. It's been a wonderful experience for us.
Absolutely.
And we definitely encourage you, whether it's through Home for Good Missioners or any other rescue group.
They all need help.
That's right. And Juliet indicated there are 920,000 dogs that are euthanized each year, animals that are euthanized each year. And if we can reduce that number, we should. We absolutely should. So thank you for that. At this time, I think we'll move on to, CV had an update for us. So let's go to Gainesville 285 and get his check-in and get his information about the latest news about the barbecue. It's coming up sometime pretty soon. CV, when is that barbecue?
Well, Net Control, when you say good night, I was wondering if any of the rest of us were going to be able to get anything in there. But anyway, Saturday, April 20, not this Saturday, but a week from now. A little bit of an update. Three or four things actually. We initially have advertised the gate opening at 10 a.m. Saturday morning. The gate will not open until 10:30 a.m. For logistical purposes. So I would not recommend arriving too far ahead of 10:30 a.m. There'll be a traffic jam. We do have Hall County law enforcement arranged to be on the road for traffic control. We also have law enforcement stationed at the entrance and on the premises. So everyone's going to be safe. Just making sure if anyone needs anything, we have the ability to furnish what they need. So this is very important. We have some slots available. I know people think there might be a waiting list. Right now there's not. So we do have a few slots available for persons to attend. if you are someone who has been a member of the North Georgia GMRS for a while and you received, and let me break just so I don't get caught. If you've been receiving emails weekly about the numbers and, you canceled, but you find out that you're able to attend again, please send us an email and request to be put back on the attending list. And Atlanta C0 and I were talking about this today. He's added quite a number of new members over the past couple of weeks who may not have received emails about this and don't know that this barbecue is taking place. If you're a new member and you want to attend this event, go to the website, look at the information. Not this Saturday, next Saturday, April 20, LL Farm in Claremont, Georgia. The address is there. Send us an email. We probably have a spot for you. So I'll just leave it at that. We have spots available, and if you're a new member and did not know about it prior to tonight, check it out. We're closing in on 300 people, so it's going to be a great event. Barbecue smoked on the premises and all the sides. Everybody's going to be there, so come on and be a part of it. Thank you very much, Net Control. Gainesville 285, WRKN 234.
All right, Charlie Victor 2 times. We've got all of that. Just as a reminder from what CV said, there's been a change for logistics purposes. The gates open at 10:30 a.m. Please adjust your arrival time accordingly. And CV, I want to grab you here for just one quick minute because I want to make sure we've got your check-in in here correctly.
Okay. I would imagine you probably already have it filled in. But anyway, this is C. Charlie V. Victor, C.V. Smith, WRKN 234, Gainesville 285, in Burrillville, Georgia, checking in and out. Got to sit down with Gainesville 286, WRKN 234, Lynn, in Burrillville, Georgia, who will be checking in and out. Got to catch up a little bit from the day. Y'all have a great evening. We'll be monitoring as best we can.
All right, good stuff. Now, were you going to catch up or catch up? Because, we have the catch up with Kate, but my guess is you're going to have catch up with the hot dogs you're having for supper.
Okay. Well, yeah, eat both ways, be fine. We're good. So we appreciate the humor.
All right, CV. Well, thank you for the information, and thank you for the updates with regard to the barbecue. I can hardly wait. It's going to be a much bigger turnout than we've ever had before, and last year's event was just wonderful. The food was good. The fellowship was fantastic. It was a great chance to visit with and get to know some people. People that, you hear these voices week after week, and all you hear is the voice. And you may know a little bit about that person. You may know a little bit about what that person does for a living or what their hobbies or interests are. But there's nothing quite like being able to sit down and have a meal with someone and really get to know a lot about somebody. And here's a chance to get to know a lot about a lot of people. And, all the folks that have come to North Georgia GMRS have just been fantastic people to visit with and to fellowship with, to talk to on the air, to go have lunch with sometimes, to run into them at various places. I've run into North Georgia GMRS members in the strangest of places. Once while I was at the dump, unloading a trailer full of refuse, the person in the vehicle next to me says, "Hey, are you with North Georgia GMRS?" Yeah, it was a member. We've run into members while we were at Hamfests out of state, many, many miles away. So it's surprising sometimes. And when you wear the shirt and people recognize that while you're out and about, that's also kind of neat. So this will be an opportunity to see quite a few of the shirts and quite a few of the members of North Georgia GMRS. So this is exciting stuff. Jeff, you had something you wanted to share. What was that?
Well, a late addition to the announcements page was the work that we've been doing on the Zello link. We have upgraded some equipment and some hardware for the Zello link, and the Zello link actually shows up on the map independently of the Noonan repeater now. So the Zello link has been isolated from the Noonan repeater, so they are each of their own on the map as well. So for those of you that rely on the map for day-to-day, for folks, to know which repeater they're coming in from, that may be a handy addition for some folks that now you can tell the difference. So we've been working on that a lot yesterday. Still needs a little fine-tuning here or there, but overall I think it's a big improvement once we get it dialed in just perfectly.
So Zello is actually its own instance. It's not a part of Noonan any longer?
Correct.
So when you see the Noonan repeater light up, that's actually traffic from Noonan.
Right.
And so if it's a Zello call, it will be distinct. The Noonan repeater will not light up for Zello traffic. It'll be its own. Where's that icon located at?
It's actually located in a pond in Douglasville if you look on the map and zoom in.
A pond in Douglasville.
It is the available space we had in between the Noonan and the Dallas repeaters. So it shows up directly in the middle, which dumped it off in a pond.
Okay, so near Lithia Springs, is that what I'm looking at?
Yep, and that is, for those folks listening, that Zello link is not a repeater. That is the node that Zello talks to the network through.
So what are the tones?
There are no tones. It's not a repeater.
It's not not a radio at all.
Right.
Okay, so that is the voice over internet access point.
Correct.
For the network. Zello is not a repeater, even though it looks like one on a map. There are no tones.
Correct.
All right. What else do we have?
I think that's it for announcements. I think turn it over to the director of roll call and go down what we have for check-in so far.
We've got a good batch.
All right. Are we gonna get any more?
Yeah, you're the director of roll call.
We should try to get some more. But do we want to go through these first?
Yeah, let's reset the repeater and then go down the list.
All right. You want to go down the whole list, or just the last ones that I haven't acknowledged?
I didn't know you didn't acknowledge them.
There's YouTube check-ins. All right. We'll go ahead and acknowledge from the top the check-ins that we have in the log tonight. We have Gainesville 100 in and out. Atlanta 557 in and out. Gainesville 417 William in Auburn is in with us tonight. Atlanta 516 Ray is in and out. CW40 Robert is in and out. Cades Cove 80 Eric in Rockwood is in with us tonight. Cades Cove 81 and Cades Cove 83 Renee and Bill are in and out. Chattanooga 162 Larry is in and out. CW2 and CW1 Steve and Eileen are in and out. Chattanooga 118 Stuart in Eastridge is in with us tonight. Chattanooga 109 JG in Chattanooga, I think he said also in Eastridge, he's in with us tonight. Rome 12 Mark, we heard your check-in. I was unsure if you're in and out. We're going to show you as in, and when we get to you, we'll find out one way or the other. Chattanooga 49, Robert in Dalton was in and out. And Atlanta 250, Dana from Dahlonega is in with us tonight. Chattanooga 69, Ronnie in Las Vegas in and out. And I think he's also monitoring on YouTube. And Gainesville 58, Jonathan at 250.56 meters above sea level somewhere around Oakwood is in with us tonight. CW33, Tom and Bogart, as well as CW33.1, .2, .3, .4, and I think .5 are all in with us tonight. Dallas 20, David and Rockmart, in and out. Chattanooga 121, Mark in Uldawa, is in with us tonight. Let me take a breath. Next we heard Rome 313, Jay in Rome is in and out. Alabama 22, Hal in Cedar Bluff is also in and out. Atlanta 256, Chuck in Dawsonville is in with us tonight. And Atlanta 31, Ron in Ackworth is in and out. Atlanta 637, Dave in Kennesaw, we show you is in and out. Atlanta 11, John in Canton, or maybe Woodstock, in and out. Gainesville 44, Joe in Cleveland, in and out. Atlanta 308, Dan in Marietta, also in and out. We heard Atlanta 780, Houston in Austell is in and out. And we had Atlanta 403, Bobby at the Vortex is in with us tonight. Atlanta 305, James in Decatur was in and out. Atlanta 454 and 453, Steve and Janine, both in Lilburn, were in and out. Atlanta 307, Jonathan in Cumming was in and out. Atlanta 1402, Todd in Silver City, we've got you in and out. Gainesville 76, John in Gainesville, in and out. And Atlanta 532, Tom in Flowery Branch, we've got you in, Tom. McDonough 23, Robert in Stockbridge, in and out. Atlanta 263, Roger in Dunwoody, also in and out. Then we had a string of YouTube check-ins that we want to acknowledge. We had Dallas 16, Michael from Dallas. Chattanooga 123, Steve in Ringgold. Chattanooga 55, Doug in Chattanooga. Atlanta 259, Jonathan in Alpharetta. Chattanooga 121, Mark in Colbert. CW8, Mark was in Uldawa. Robert was in Colbert. Gainesville 285 and Gainesville 286. C. Charlie V. Victor, Smith and Lynn, also in Murrayville, in and out. Also from YouTube, we had Blue Ridge 64, Melissa in Blue Ridge. Gainesville 20, Alfred in Sewanee. And Gainesville 43, David in Auburn, all joining us on the YouTube live stream. And that
Did we get Alabama 22 called out correctly, or is he still Atlanta 22?
We got Hal fixed. He's indeed Alabama.
All right, fantastic. All right, well let's see if we can find some more check-ins. Or do we have enough? That's probably enough.
It's probably enough, but we could call out again.
You want
maybe one more time?
All right, one more time. Let's go through the same round of check-ins that we do for early check-ins, starting off with Zello. Any Zello users wishing to check in, please call Net Control now. Zello users only, please.
You need to introduce me into the...
Oh, we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
Yeah.
So let's do...
I have to say some silly story like I was out running in the backyard.
Oh yeah.
And Julie let me
All right, I'll come up with something. I don't know what. Nobody does.
just randomly appear. I was like, what happened to Julie?
All right, that silence, I hope, means that we've got all the Zello check-ins that we're going to get. If you are trying to check in on Zello and we didn't wait long enough, I'm sorry. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to squeeze in between calls as we move along. But at this point in time, let's continue on with check-ins with any repeater other than Flagship. Any repeater other than Flagship, please call Net Control now.
This is WROT 224 Chattanooga 110. Jim and Ringgold checking in and checking out tonight.
This is WROB 245, Atlanta 848 Ernest, and Atlanta 849 Pamela. Checking in, checking out. Have a great net. This is
I'm gonna double.
This is Columbus 40 WGZF 998, John in Phoenix City.
Columbus 40.
Yes.
This is WSBR 690,
In and out.
Chat 120, David in Chattanooga.
Didn't hear it in or out.
He didn't
This
say.
is WRYR 485, Atlanta 605, Michael incoming, checking in and checking out.
Chicken in, chicken out.
All right, John, I'm going to introduce you and have you acknowledge this round of check-ins.
You see my pickup?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and we've got another member of Net Control at the helm here this evening. John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is John, Atlanta 829, WROI 773. I was playing out earlier. I was out playing in the backyard, running around with the dogs.
Oh, okay, all right, playing with the
Fun,
dogs. That
fun.
seems like
Good stuff.
yeah,
Something I would do.
that's
See?
the
Dogs.
game tonight.
Well, it seems
right.
fitting with the topic.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, let's go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. We've got some YouTube check-ins as well as some RF check-ins, and then we'll take one more round of any repeater anywhere. But go ahead.
All right. So our first check-in on this latest round, Atlanta 284, Nicholas in Woodstock. He is checking in and out. We have two guests coming into us. WRQH818, Dalton in Kentucky, and WR's Z8947, David, checking in through YouTube. Both of our guests are checking in through YouTube. Next, we have Chattanooga 110, Jim, in Ringgold. Atlanta 848, Ernest in Duluth, and Pamela in Duluth. Jim, Ernest, and Pamela are checking in and out, along with Columbus 40, John, in Phoenix City, Alabama. He's also checking in and out. Chattanooga 120, David, in Harrison, Tennessee. We didn't catch you if you were in and out.
Yeah, we'll just mark him as in for now, and we'll figure it out later.
That's right. And finally, we have Atlanta 605, Michael, incoming. He is checking in and out with us.
All right, and with that, we'll continue with some additional check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including all of those that are not flagship and Zello. So if you can squeeze your way in between, please do. Net Control standing by.
This is
Atlanta 26.
This is WREB 450, Atlanta 26. Flip from the beautiful Druid Hills, checking in, of course.
This is WRXB 696, Dallas 64. Josh in Dallas, checking in and checking out. Thanks.
Oh, that one's just Dallas. Or just D, I mean. There you go.
WSAV205, Atlanta 195, Dave in Marietta, checking in, checking out.
All right, this seems like a good opportunity to go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. We had Atlanta 26 Flip in the beautiful Druid Hills is in with us this evening. Dallas 64 Josh in Dallas is in and out, and Atlanta 195 Dave in Marietta in and out. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. There will be another round of check-ins as we get toward the end of the roster and before we close the program. So if you tried to check in and you weren't able to get in, there will be another opportunity before we close. But at this time, let's head to the top. And John, have you figured out what our question for the audience is going to be?
I believe our questions for the audience this evening, since it is National Pet Day, we would like to hear about your any of your funny pet stories or anything you'd like to share about your pets, their names, and anything pets in general.
So there you go. This evening, in honor of National Pet Day, we'll talk about our favorite furry friend stories. And with that, we'll jump to the top of the list. We have Gainesville 100 Randall in Buford is in and out, as well as Atlanta 557 Ed in Kennesaw in and out. And that'll bring us next to Gainesville 417 William in Auburn. William, can you tell us any stories about your favorite pets?
Yeah, I can tell you a few stories. I've had a dog just about all my life, anywhere from 1 to 3 to 5 at one time. Presently, I have we actually had 2 dogs pass away in the last 2 years. One was a Bichon that was 17 and a half years old, which is unheard of for Bichon. We now have a Bichon Poodle miniature, which is 9 years old. We have a Aussie Doodle, which is an Austin Shepherd with a poodle. And we have a one we got from the Humane Society. We think it's a part Bulldog Lab. It may have a little Shepherd in it. And it's a small 50-pound dog that we're afraid we're going to have to rehome because it doesn't get along with our little Bichon. So we're looking to rehome that and probably get another small dog from the pound somewhere. But anyway, that's what I've got for tonight. And so I agree with Julie. The best thing to do is go look at these dogs that are homeless and see if you can't foster or give them a home or something. Anyway, that's all I've got for tonight, Justin, and have a good night. We will talk to you later. Be standing by.
All right. Well, it's great to hear from you, William, and it's great to hear of that collection of fur friends that you've got there at the house, and hopefully you can find a home for that the one that won't play nice. You know, there is that. These animals all have their own personality, and they have their own characteristics, and they're individuals, and sometimes you just can't make them get along. So, but at least he's got a warm, comfortable place to stay until we can find him another home. So good stuff. Thanks for all of that. With that, we're going to move on to Atlanta 516. Ray in Canton is in and out. And CW40 Robert in Nicholson, also in and out. That'll bring us next to Cades Cove 80, Eric in Rockwood. Eric, do you have any pet stories you'd like to share?
Hey, thank you guys. This is Cade Cove 80, and man, I'm glad you guys know where I live, because I always forget to say that when I check in. For some reason, I always forget to add where I am. So I'm glad you guys know where I'm at. I've got a pet. I mean, I've had pets all my life also, and Angel, the one I have now, I rescued her from the animal shelter. When I went in to look, I mean, I walked up and down, the aisle, and she just kept looking at me with those sad eyes. Well, every time I'd walk up to the gate, she'd run all the way outside and wouldn't come to me. So I'd walk away from the gate, and she'd come running back up to it. And we done that back and forth for a little bit, and that time out got me. We done that for a little bit. I finally just went over and got me a handful of treats, opened the gate, I walked in, I shut it, and I sat down. And she finally come up to me, and I was able to give her some treats. Getting her in the car was a chore. I had to have some help with it. But once I got her home and we got used to each other, now she sleeps in bed with me. And we're talking about a pretty large dog here. She's almost 90 pounds and probably going on 5 years old. She's a type of shepherd, but I'm not sure what type. Let me break. Guys, this has been the most loyal dog I've ever had in my life. I mean, when I'm home, she's following me step by step. If I'm gone to work, like I am now, she's outside waiting on me. I don't care if it's raining, sleeting, snowing, or 100 degrees, she's outside waiting on me. Mom has a really hard time getting her to come in. Let me break. And like tonight, I'm working till 11. Normally, I'd be getting off work between now and 9 o'clock. But I mean, she gets up with me, gets treats. Long story short, she is the greatest I've ever had. When I'm in a lot of pain and laying in bed, she literally lays right up against me and won't move until I get out of bed. I am fixing to pick an order up, so I do need to be quick, and I'll close with that. Her name's Angel. I love her to death. She loves me, and we get along great. Net control, I'll turn it back over to you. This case, go ahead.
All right, Eric. Well, thank you for all of that, and I'll get back to work. Just kidding. That's the one thing that these animals, they give a companionship that we just can't really experience any other way. And the dogs that we have, Penny and Doogie, are very, very, very attached to Julie. But when Julie goes to Indiana and I stay here, those dogs become my shadow. So I know my pecking order around here. Julie, is first, and then Penny, and then Doogie, and then me. So that's how we rank, in terms of who's in charge and that sort of thing.
Well,
I do take my orders from the dogs as I'm supposed to.
You forgot the in-laws.
Yeah, I that's probably an equal rank. We all come in behind the dogs, but in any case, it depends. If supper's involved, then Carol is in charge. But in any case, these animals can be just a tremendous value, and just in the spirit and companionship that they can bring. So that's one thing that we often don't consider. And they do require a commitment from us, but what they give back is huge. So good stuff, Eric, and go pick up that order and get those folks their dinner. Appreciate that. Next on the list, we have Cades Cove 81, Renee in Rockwood is in and out. She just doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Cades Cove 83, Bill in Rockwood, also in and out. Chattanooga 162, Larry in Chattanooga is in and out. CW2, Steven. Is it Steve or Steven?
I think he might have said Steve.
I want to say it's Steve.
Should we try to call out to him?
Yeah, CW2, Steve. Is it Steve or Steven? All right. Well, CW2 has marked in and out, so maybe he can't come back to the radio right now. We'll get that straightened out along the way. Maybe next week when we call for check-ins, we'll see if we can clarify Steve or Steven. I think it's Steve. Also, we have CW1 Eileen in Arnoldsville in and out, and that'll bring us to Chattanooga 118 Stewart in Eastridge. Stewart, do you have any pet stories you'd like to share?
Actually, I don't, because I don't have any pets. I've never been a pet person. I've got lots of interesting transistor radios on the shelf, but no pets. Back to you.
Very, very interesting. So you get your companionship electronically, I suppose.
Well, if he doesn't have a pet story, is he at least going to the barbecue?
Well, isn't everybody going? I mean, 300 people. Who's not going to the barbecue? That's going to be a shorter list.
Maybe so.
Stuart, you going?
I am actually going to the barbecue. I'm looking forward to it. I missed it last year, but I'm looking forward to it this year. I'm bringing an old Motorola in hopes that Houston might be able to do something to make it work if it's possible to do that. So yes, I'm looking forward to the cookout and meeting everyone up there.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you, if it is possible, Houston will find a way, and he'll do the research. He'll figure out what kind of programming equipment it requires, and he'll get it sorted out. So that's a good plan. If you've got an old radio and you're not quite sure how to program it or where to get the software, Houston is an excellent resource for those kind of things. And I think that he takes a lot of pleasure in being able to help folks out. So definitely bring the radio and get that to Houston at the barbecue. That'll be a good opportunity. And, you know, if you spend a little bit of time with Houston, you can't help but learn something. So I definitely recommend, if you get the opportunity to sit at his table, do that.
And
all right.
Take notes.
Take notes. That's right. All right, Stuart, thank you for all of that. And we'll move on now to Chattanooga 109, JG in Chattanooga. Was that Chattanooga or Eastridge?
I think he also said Eastridge.
So he's somewhere up in, that's like the difference between Woodstock and Canton and Holly Springs. It's hard to know exactly where the line is because they're all kind of...
They run together.
Yeah. So I know Atlanta 11 sometimes is not quite sure whether it's Woodstock or Holly Springs
or Canton.
Yeah, so it could be the same thing with Chattanooga and East Ridge. JG, are you there, and do you have any pet stories?
Yes, I am here, and you are correct. It gets confusing. I can actually receive mail, East Ridge or Chattanooga, and it just works out. It's like we're just a neighborhood of Chattanooga, although actually East Ridge is its own city. We have our own post office. But anyway, I do have a dog. I've always had dogs, like many of the others. I did get a rescue a few years back. I named him Daniel Boone because I wanted him to feel tough and brave and outdoorsy. I got him here, and we've had some good times, but now he's the biggest lovable, albeit lovable, but the biggest wimp and inside dog you've ever seen. But The good thing is he's a 75-pound wimp, so he still looks mean and he sounds mean. And that's all I require of him, is to give that big bark when anyone gets close to the house, and that's enough to get any ne'er-do-wells to leave us alone. That way I don't even have to worry about doing anything, because they're going to go to an easier target. They don't know he's a big wimp, even though if they knew, they could show a balloon to him, and he would cower and run. But anyway, he's been a great pal. He's very loyal. He's some kind of German Shepherd type hound dog mix, which means he takes the best naps. I wish I could nap like this dog does. But he's always up to go with me wherever I go. And like I said, just a great companion. Got him a few years ago from the Humane Society. And just love him to death. We have some other dogs too, but I'll save those stories for another time. And me and Daniel Boone, with that story, we're going to be signing off and getting the kids ready for bed. Have a good night.
Ah, fantastic. Well, that's a great story. Daniel Boone, the big furry Frady dog. And I can relate. You know, we've had some big dogs. We have fairly large dogs now, and they're great at making that big intimidating bark. And you know, I think that we enjoy a particular sense of security here that we might not otherwise have because of the presence of dogs. But we've had ankle biters in the past, and you know, the truth of the matter is the ankle biters they'll chase somebody to the car. They will chase someone off the property. The ankle biters are the ones that are oftentimes more likely to engage than the big dogs. And that's something that we've observed here with our dogs in the past. We don't have any ankle biters currently, but probably in time there's bound to be another one. But
that's how Teddy is too.
Yeah.
Teddy thinks he's 200 pounds and he's 18.
And meanwhile, the bigger kids they just run back and forth and bark
and wag their tails.
Yeah, yeah. So they're waiting for a treat, and they know they're going to get one. But Teddy's a little more reserved, and it takes a little bit to get on his good side, and it takes even more to stay there. So that's good stuff. All right, well, thank you for that, JG, and go get those kids settled in. Next on our list, we have Rome 12. Mark in Rome is in and out, as well as Chattanooga 49, Robert in Dalton, in and out. That'll bring us to Atlanta 250, Dana, high atop Mount Olympus. Dana, do you have any pet stories you'd like to share?
Well, good evening, guys, and I can just tell you about the Dobbs here, who's currently up on the bed, not giving me the time of day, just totally asleep. But she's a 56-pound Queensland healer, a.k.a. a Australian cattle dog or a red healer. She's about 3 years old now. I got her from a breeder, and her full name is Dobby, from the movie Harry Potter. Because she has this thing with socks, and if anybody knows anything about Dobby and the Harry Potter flick, the socks set Dobby free. Anyway, she is totally fearless. She has chased coyotes off. She has gone a few rounds with about a 300-pound black bear.
Wow. Time out, timer.
Timed out. Anyway, a 300-pound black bear, and she is just totally fearless. But she's also the most loyal dog I have ever owned. So that's about it. She does have her quirks, but that's about it. Back to net control.
All right, Dana. Yes, the Dobby from the Harry Potter series. That was a very interesting character, and quite frankly, one I'd forgotten about until you mentioned. I didn't even make the connection because I saw your Facebook post, and I didn't make the connection then either. But yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, and that's one of the things. We've got deer in the area, and every once in a while I see evidence of them on the property, typically, overnight, but we rarely actually see them because the dogs that are here will make sure that they remain unseen, much like, the rabbits. And I don't know what the conspiracy is, but it seems as though the squirrels have cut a deal because the dogs won't chase the squirrels anymore. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I'm sure that if the dogs could tell me, they probably wouldn't.
Well, I gotta know from Dana's standpoint, are we back to HT on a recliner status after those repairs were made from Flagship?
Oh, let's find out.
Every morning over coffee from about 7 a.m. till about, 2 p.m. Off and on now because I am, if it's not raining, taking care of things. But, oh yeah, I mean, you can't tell whether I'm on the 878 or if I'm up here on the Kenwood. So it's proximity, it's height, it's line of sight, and I'm just one of those fortunate folks.
Well, that is a fantastic sounding station, whatever you're transmitting on, and seems like whenever you're transmitting on it. So, great signal from that vantage high atop Mount Olympus.
Oh, Andy got his ball ground repeater back too. He got a two for one in the same day.
It was like Christmas over there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, next we have the Velvet Elvis. Chattanooga 6'9", Ronnie from Las Vegas is in and out. We have Gainesville 5'8", Jonathan in Oakwood, 250.56 meters above sea level. Is
that's what I got?
Where'd that come from?
Oh, he let us know.
Oh,
was that from Jonathan or was that from Tom? Because that seems like a Tom factoid mathematician.
Well, if it was, then they got separated in the log because Tom is next.
No, I'm not sure.
I don't think
well, let's find out. Jonathan, do you have an explanation for this?
It does sound like a Tom comment.
Well, guys, no, I think that was Tom because I'm in beautiful downtown Oakwood, and I think we're right at about 1,100, something like that, somewhere around that range. Not 100% sure, but yeah, I'm 90% sure I heard Tom say that right after me.
That'll do it.
But I only have 2 cats left. I had a dog. He passed away about 6 months ago. And I've got 2 cats that like to hang around the house. And yeah, one of them we've had for about 12 years, and the other one, she's about 6 years old. She don't have much to do with me. She just kind of stares at me and plots to take me out in my sleep or something. But that's all I've got, guys.
Cats work.
Yep.
Checks out.
Very good, Jonathan. Well, that's one of the things that we haven't talked much about is one of the heartaches of being a pet owner is that it's only for a limited time, and through our lifetimes we can have several seasons of animals, but we do invariably end up having to tell them goodbye, and we've had more than our fair share here. We have quite a plot of animals that have passed away here. So it's a sad reality, but the fact is that the joy and the companionship and the loyalty and the reward that you have as a pet owner is far greater than the sad day when it comes, and it's worth every minute. So
that was actually one of the reasons what prompted us to get Sterling in the first place. Because a parrot his lifespan is so much longer. It's actually a pet you hand down to the next generation. African Greys can live up to 80 years.
Yeah.
What What next generation are you speaking of? Are you
We're
and Kate
gonna-
have plans I don't know about?
We're going to give him to Mike's kids.
Allegedly, he's coming to, or she is coming to live in Salad Ridge.
Fantastic. I think she would do great in Salad Ridge.
She might get along with the 34 other feathered friends.
And you know, if that's something that interests you, because this is something that I learned just earlier this year, if you're interested in becoming an owner of a parrot or another exotic bird, there's actually a rescue for.
That's right, because that's usually what happens. The owner would die, and then the animal's still alive and needs a home.
Oh, wow.
And so at the rescue, there is an opportunity to adopt one of these birds. Now, the challenge is that these animals tend to bond with one person, and when that person passes away, the birds tend to be not that friendly with other people. So it can be challenging to build a new bond with a bird, but it can be done. It takes a commitment of time and patience. But if there's an interest in adopting an animal other than a cat or dog, do some research, because I think you'll find that there are rescue groups for virtually every kind of animal there is. There's a rescue group for ducks, for domesticated ducks. And one of the things that we've learned, because we've had ducks several times through the years, ducks are wonderful as ducklings, as juveniles. But as soon as they pass through that juvenile period, they become very independent, and they develop a tremendous attitude.
So teenagers.
Forever. and
Constantly stuck
and constantly. And they're, it's time to break, Jeff says. He's always telling me it's time to break. I don't know what's up with that. But the ducks that we've had have been a lot of fun. I would consider a duck again. They're great animals. Is that thunder?
That's just rain.
That was Jeff's chair rolling across the floor.
Yeah.
It's raining that hard.
Do we have to disconnect our antennas?
We're going to need life jackets pretty soon.
Life jackets.
Who's the captain of the ship?
If you're watching on the live stream, it's about to get exciting.
Could be. Yeah. But I forget where I'm at. Ducks are a lot of fun, but there's rescues out there for domesticated ducks, because sometimes they develop an attitude, and people don't have the patience for that attitude. I've always enjoyed the ducks and their attitude. I don't know why, but yeah, there's a rescue out there for everything. All right. Well, thank you for that, Jonathan. And let's see. Tom is actually at 250.56 meters above sea level with decimal 1, decimal 2, decimal 3, and decimal 4. Tom, are those representative of fur kids?
Yes, sir. Our family is officially gone to the dogs. We got 4 dogs in here. One is a Cairn Terrier mix. She's 13 years old. She's blind. She's diabetic, insulin dependent, twice a day. The other is a 12-year-old Jack Russell, who adorable little dog, but he's just lazy. Sleeps all the time. And we have a little Maltipoo, who's our more recent acquisition to the family. And then we have Juno, our Royal Standard Poodle, who's solid black. Let me break. Juno is a trained service dog, and like I said, she's solid black, and we found out that a solid black dog is almost impossible to photograph. So we have a whole lot of silhouette-looking pictures of Juno. But kind of a funny story. We, when she was younger, the first time we took her to the groomers to get groomed, I didn't really want her looking like, a foofy poodle. And my wife said, well, what am I supposed to tell the groomer? I said, I don't know. Just tell her that this dog needs to look good in my pickup truck and in my Jeep. And that worked out perfect, because she came home with what they call a sporting cut. The problem is, sometimes a lot of people see them and they think that she is a doodle. Let me break. So when people ask, hey, is that a doodle? I start saying, well, she's half of a doodle. And we get some kind of odd looks about that. But our dogs, service dogs, and pets, and all of them, they certainly make life very rich for all of us. And years ago, I saw a little prayer, which I like. And the prayer said, Lord, help me to be the kind of person that my dog thinks I am. And that is so true, because no matter what kind of day you've had, when you come home, they're so happy to see you and so loving and caring, and they just make life a whole lot better. That's all I have, and enjoying the net tonight.
Good stuff. And that's a great prayer. Help me to be the kind of person my dog thinks I am. That's very good stuff. Well, thanks for that, Tom. And
well, wait a minute. He said he's got a standard poodle. Do any of them come in automatic?
I don't know about automatic, but yeah, poodles do come in. So there's standard, there's miniature, there's teacup, and then there's all the variations. For instance, we once had a schnoodle. Bailey was one of my favorite dogs we've ever had. Part poodle, part schnauzer. She had all of that terrier attitude, and she was as feisty as any poodle I've ever seen. So she was quite a handful at times. And that's one of those. Somebody had mentioned about how, when you're not feeling good, or when you're, when you go to lay down, if you're in pain. I think it was Eric who talked about that.
Yeah.
How the dog will just kind of press up against you. Bailey was like that. She could sense when you were not at your peak. And if you were feeling ill or whatever, she was a very cuddling and occupying animal. She would almost over the top, be in your face, be on your chest, be in your armpit. You try to roll over to get comfortable, but you can't because the dog's there. And, she was a great dog for a lot of reasons. I've got a story I want to tell about her here in a little bit. But, yeah, let's find out. Tom, do you have an automatic poodle?
No, she's actually, they call it a royal standard poodle. But you're correct. They have the standard, which is a full-size poodle ranging from 50 to 80 pounds. But she is the top-of-the-line model, though. She has Sherpa fur, and she's got a 3-inch lift kit and a heavy-duty snout and a Swiffer tail. So she's an upgraded model for sure.
So it's like a King Ranch.
Yeah. The upgraded trim.
Oh, the Swiffer tail. That is an important feature. And I think that's definitely worth its weight in gold, the Swiffer tail. All right, well, fantastic. Let's move on now. Next, we have Dallas 20. David in Southwest Paulding County is in and out. Is he trying to navigate traffic this evening?
I think he was. He was still in Dallas.
Okay, well, hopefully he's home by now, but who knows? Chattanooga 121, Mark in Ottawa is in and out. Rome 313, Jason in Rome is in and out. Alabama 22, Hal in Cedar Bluff is in and out. Atlanta 256, Chuck in Dawsonville. Chuck, do you have any pet stories you'd like to share?
Well, good evening there, guys. Just how I came by mine. I lost my 13-year-old mutt Cookie back in August, and my veterinarian said, "Hey, don't do anything crazy. We'll see what happens." Well, they called me in December, and this gentleman out in Big Canoe was getting double knee surgery, so he wanted to rehome his dog. So I have, she'll be 18 months on the 29th. I'm following Dana here with an Australian cattle dog mix with a Labrador. And she's sweet, she's smart, she watches TV with me, she barks at the dogs on TV. Hasn't met anybody she doesn't love, or a dog or a cat or whatever. But that's all. That's all. You guys are sounding good, looking good. Don't want to hold it all up. Get to my timeout timer. But yep, that's it.
Oh, good stuff, Chuck. You mentioned that the dog likes to watch TV with you. Just curious if it has any favorite shows, any favorite TV shows.
Well, when I leave it here, I put Lucky Dog on. It's a dog training show out of California. She absolutely goes nuts. Anything with a dog in it, she goes crazy. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Liberty Mutual commercial with the dog. She'll be sleeping and hear that commercial in the living room, and she'll be out here watching the TV. And she does watch hockey games with me. She'll sit there and watch it. Anything that's moving fast, she likes it.
Huh. Lucky dog indeed. Lucky dog indeed. Well, thanks for the comments, Chuck. Appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and move on. In the log, we have Atlanta 3-1, Ron, in and out tonight. Atlanta 637, Dave in Kennesaw was in and out. Atlanta 1-1, John in Canton, or maybe Woodstock, in and out. Gainesville 44, Joe in Cleveland, in and out. Atlanta 308, Dan in Marietta was in and out. Atlanta 780, Houston from Austell was in and out. And that'll bring us to Atlanta 403, Bobby out in Cleveland at the Vortex. Bobby, what stories do you have to share about your pets that you've had either now or over the years?
Hey, peoples. Good afternoon. Good evening. Yeah, I just got the one cat now, Alley Cat. She was a rescue. Ended up on my back porch with her two sisters as little tiny kittens that the mother abandoned. And I bottle fed them, but unfortunately I lost the two other sisters. But Alley Cat hung in there, and she's a good little girl. I mean, not a big cat. She's just a regular standard issue gray and black cat. She's all right. Her only really thing is attacking toilet paper and making little nests all over the place with toilet paper. But yeah, other than that, she's a good cat.
Oh, very good. We've talked a lot about dogs tonight. A lot of folks have dogs, and so it's good to hear the cat story here and there. We've got a couple cats too, and you mentioned the toilet paper, and I can definitely relate to messes that we'll find all over the house of shredded toilet paper. So give me a good laugh there. All right. Anything else you want to share with Annette tonight, Bobby?
No, that's about it. And can't wait to see everybody at the barbecue. And that should be a pretty good one. Kind of excited for that. And yeah, hopefully we'll have good weather for that. That's about it. I'll throw it back to you, Ned. Oh, I did raise Joe's timeout timer on this radio so we can talk long. Just thought I'd throw that in there. All right, have a good one, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right, good stuff. I'm sure he appreciates that, and yeah, we do too. All right, Bobby, good to hear from you, and we'll see you next weekend at the barbecue. After Bobby, we had a handful of in and outs. We had Atlanta 305, James in and out. Atlanta 454, Steve in Lilburn in and out. Atlanta 453, Janine in Lilburn in and out. Atlanta 307, Jonathan in Cumming was in and out. Atlanta 1402, Todd in Silver City in and out tonight. Gainesville 76, John in Gainesville was in and out. And that'll bring us to Atlanta 532, Tom in Flowery Branch. Tom, what stories do you have to share tonight with Annette regarding your pets, past or current?
Well, good evening, Net Control. A few pet stories. I've got years ago, we have a dog that happened to, three of them actually, happened to follow my son home, who was probably about 12 at the time, from a vacant lot that they used to play in the neighborhood. And for some reason, these dogs followed him home. Well, I found out later on that he had a piece of bologna or two in his back pocket. That didn't hurt. But that was a dog. We found a home for the two males, and we kept the female lady, and we had her for almost 14 years, and she was one of the greatest dogs you probably could have ever had as just a gentle, nice mutt. But and then after that, we've always had a cat around or two, and right now we've got Ollie, who we've had for 10 years. We got him as a 6-month or 6-week-old kitten, and I'm amazed in the 10 years we've had him how well he's trained us. We haven't trained him, but just wanted to let you know, pets are a lot of fun, but they're also a big responsibility, as we all know.
Yes, they can be a lot of fun, and they are a big responsibility. And you know, that's one of the things that you know, we always have to take into consideration. And so many times we get a pet because the kids want us to. You know, they ask for a dog or a cat or some pet. Can I have a pet? Can I have? And so we break down and we get one for the kids, but it's not because we wanted the animal. It's because the kids did. And well, then the kids don't take care of it like they promised they would. And now it becomes, you know, maybe a burden. And in some cases, these are the reasons why animals get dropped off at shelters. And it's just a sad reality of the day. You know, sometimes it's circumstances. I've seen a lot of cases, you know, in stories on Facebook where people have been evicted because they couldn't pay the rent or what have you. And the place they're moving to won't allow them to have a dog. And so they don't have any choice. Unfortunately, rather than finding a home for the dog or cat themselves, they just take the animal to the shelter because they're desperate and they don't have time to really do anything else. But in many cases, there are choices that we could have made that would have had a different outcome, and the dog didn't have to go to a shelter. So as often as we can, we should pursue those choices. The reality isn't always in line with what we would like to do or what our preferred circumstances are, and that's why the shelter exists. But at the same time, if you have the means and you have the time and the energy, and that's something too, you shouldn't adopt a dog if you don't have the time to care for it. They do require a lot of effort and attention, and you know, it's not really fair to the dog to adopt a dog and then bring it home and then you're not there because you're working all the time. And so the dog is stuck at your place. It just moved from, you know, the kennel to your living room, and maybe it's more comfortable, but there's still no interaction or stimulation for the animal, and they do require that. And oftentimes, poor behavior comes from a lack of proper stimulation. So, yeah, they can be a lot of work and a lot of responsibility, but they do offer a lot of reward. And if we can capitalize on our time and opportunities to be able to devote to these animals, it can be very, very rewarding. So, all right. Well, thank you for that, Tom. And let's see where we're at. We at looks like McDonough 23 Robert in Stockbridge is in and out, as well as Atlanta 263 Roger in Dunwoody is in and out. And I've got a handful of YouTube in and outs. Dallas 16 Michael is a YouTube check-in. Chattanooga 123 Steve in Ringgold is a YouTube check-in. Chattanooga 55 Doug in Chattanooga is a YouTube check-in. Atlanta 259 Jonathan in Alpharetta is a YouTube check-in. CW8 Robert in Colbert is a YouTube check-in. Gainesville 285 CV and Gainesville 286 Lynn in Murrayville. They are not YouTube check-ins, but they are in and out. Blue Ridge 64 Melissa in Blue Ridge is a YouTube check-in. Gainesville 20. What's that? What? The Peanut Gallery commented?
Time out, timer. You're off the air.
Yeah. Timeout timer got me. Let me go back to Blue Ridge 64. That's why I thought you were calling out, because maybe you had a comment for Melissa. Blue Ridge 64 is a YouTube check in and out. Gainesville 20, Alfred in Sewanee is a YouTube check-in. Gainesville 43, David in Auburn, YouTube check-in. Atlanta 284, Nicholas in Woodstock is a YouTube check-in. A couple of guest check-ins from WRQH 815, Dalton is a YouTube check-in, and WRZA 947, David is also a YouTube check-in. That'll bring us to Chattanooga 110, Jim in Ringgold, in and out. Atlanta 848, Ernest in Duluth, in and out. Atlanta 849, Pamela in Duluth, in and out. CW40, John in Phoenix City, Alabama, in and out. And that brings us next to Chattanooga 120, David in Harrison. We weren't sure if you were in and out, David, but do you have any pet stories for the net? All right.
This is Chat 120, David in Harrison, and I guess I have a really brief story. We had a lovely dog that we had to put to sleep. It's been a year ago in January. His name was Charlie. He was a little Bichon, and he had the sweetest personality. Didn't know a stranger, and he was not a good watchdog. But I sure miss him and love him to death. Okay, back to net control. This is Chat 120 WSBR 690.
All right. Thank you for that, David. And yes, not always do our watchdogs perform as we'd like them to. So that's something that, we've had dogs that would bark vehemently at certain people that we expected to come over and would completely ignore absolute strangers. We've had that. Now Doogie and Penny tend to bark at just about anything that moves outdoors, but as soon as they realize that, that's Jeff or that's one of the regulars around here, then they settle right down. And I can, if somebody's at the door, strangers at the door, they're going to bark and carry on, but I can settle them down and get them away from the door and be able to open the door without somebody feeling like they're about to be attacked. They are about to be attacked, but they don't feel like that.
Well,
important distinction.
Doogie will bark at me if I come in the front door, but if I come in the backyard through the back door, then he's all waggly tail and trying to jump in the truck with me.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Come in the back and he thinks you just belong here.
Right.
This is what he's used to.
And there again, the bigger dogs are often the friendliest dogs. It's those ankle biters you got to watch out for. I think in my life I've been bitten more by small dogs than by big dogs, but I have been bitten by several. Our German Shepherd Max, he's a dog that would chase a ball all day long. He would be absolutely exhausted, just absolutely spent, and with his final breath, he would get up and run to chase the ball one more time. And there was one time that we had this Kong toy, and it wasn't a ball. It was this odd-shaped thing that would bounce weird. And so that was the challenge, was you'd throw that on the ground, and it would bounce in weird directions, and it would be a challenge for him to chase. Well, one time he got hold of it, and it went down his throat. Oh. And it's got holes in both ends, but that's not going to be a good outcome if it doesn't come out. And so while he's on the ground, because he can't breathe well enough to be able to run anymore, he's on the ground. He's nearly passing out. We're concerned that we're going to lose this dog. And I had to reach into his mouth and into his throat to get a finger on that thing and pull it out. Well, I got bit several times.
Oh, yeah.
I got bit hard. Yeah. I had a bloody stump of a hand when that was done, but I got it out, and he was fine. He never did apologize for biting me, but that's another story. All right, let's break, and I'll be right back. All right, next we have Atlanta 605. Michael incoming is in and out. And that'll bring us to Atlanta 26 Flip in the beautiful Druid Hills. Flip, do you have any pet stories you'd like to share?
Well, hey guys. I was thinking about how great Neil Bortz, for those of you who have been around Atlanta for a while, the great Neil Bortz used to comment. I remember him commenting about how dogs have an undying love for their owners. They just always are happy to see their owners. He said, he made this comment one time, I thought it was funny. He said, if you trapped your dog and your wife in the trunk of your car all day, when you open the trunk at the end of the day, your dog would be really happy to see you.
I remember hearing that story, and there's a certain truth to that. Although I've never put my wife and a dog in the trunk.
Doubling.
Adopted a brother and sister, and one of the cats loves to be outdoors, although we promised that they would not be outdoor cats. And it was interesting. Recently, in an effort to mitigate his desire to be outside, but us losing him all the time, we've started one of these collar-based Bluetooth trackers. I don't know if you guys have tried that, but or have had a need for it, but it's great for a cat that wants to disappear on you. You just pull up your phone app and zap, it finds them immediately. It's awesome. Back to you guys.
That's pretty cool. I've never really had the need for, or at least it felt like I had the need for that. We did have a foster that had a tendency to run, and that was the infamous Riley, the dog with unending energy. This dog just wanted to play and run all day, and had tremendous amounts of energy, and was very, very ill-mannered in that regard. But Riley had gotten out a couple of times and would just take off, and he would just run and run and run, and so a couple of times I would get in the car and drive around the neighborhood looking for him. And so finally I decided, if he thinks there's a better life across someone else's lawn, that's fine. But my guess is that he will run, and when he gets tired, he's going to turn around and head for home, because this is a safe place. Regardless of how upset we might be with him, we've never beaten him. We've never shown him anything other than love. So we're just going to let him run. Not that we let him out to run, but if he gets out and away and he takes off running, we're not chasing him anymore. And invariably, he would come back. And that only happened a couple of times, but that would have been the only instance where I would have wanted to have some way of tracking him, just so I have an idea of where he's at. And then if I see that his track has taken off down Bell's Ferry, then I'd know that someone's picked him up and I don't have to worry about him anymore. But seriously, that's a wonderful tool, and I can see tremendous value in that, especially for a cat that wanders around. We've had those in the past, and we've always, on the farm, we always had cats in the barn. There was always this idea that if you have cats in the barn, you won't have mice and rats. The trouble is, if you feed the cats an unending supply of cat food in said barn, then they will share that cat food with the rats.
And they won't touch the rats.
Yep.
No, they won't.
The rats get as big as the cats.
Yep. They will share. They're not interested in doing their job once they have an unending supply of food. But that's from my youth. But those cats would sometimes disappear for weeks. And sometimes those cats would come back to the farm injured. Sometimes they would come back to the farm and you could tell they'd been in a scrape or they'd been in some kind of a tussle, because they'd have patches of fur missing. And sometimes they'd never come back at all. Often wondered about some of those cats that were just gone. But oftentimes the cat would be gone. The cats that were out there would be gone a couple days at a time. They would kind of cycle through. Time to break. They would cycle through, but invariably they would most of the time come back. But as a domestic cat, in a household environment, even if it's an outside cat, I could see tremendous value in a tool that would allow you to look at your phone and see which neighbor's yard your cat is in tonight.
Well, you talked about the cat that got in a scuffle and came back to the farm injured. How about the incident we had during a net one night with Doogie getting into the scuffle?
Well, Doogie didn't get injured, but Doogie had a conversation with a raccoon
during a net while we were on the air.
And the conversation turned into an argument, and the argument turned into a fight. And the raccoon lost that fight.
Yep.
And so during the net, we had a severely injured raccoon here on the property, and
still a very anxious pup to get back at him.
And yeah, Doogie was very excited. We got Doogie inside. The raccoon was very, very badly injured. Probably wasn't going to make it. Not the kind of an animal I'm going to take to the vet. So he needed to be dispatched. So that happened during the net. Jeff was 25 feet away and completely unaware that
any of this was going on.
Live ammunition was being exercised.
That was back in the days when we still wore headsets, and that's a testament to those Hale Pro 7s. Yeah. I didn't hear any of it.
Yeah, they are great headsets. I'm pretty sure if a similar event happened today, that we would hear it in here.
Yes, and so would the live stream viewers.
So we hear the tarp billowing over our heads, and we hear the rain falling on the tarp, from in here. So Vanguard is protected by a very flimsy canopy to keep the weather and the elements off of it while it sits here, so that we don't have to spend so much time washing it before we take it to CV's place. But yes, that was an adventure. What brought that up?
Bluetooth tracking.
Bluetooth tracking.
Speaking of protection, one thing is probably important to remember: have your pet spayed and neutered. I'm not Bob Barker.
You look just like him. you just need
the
that
microphone.
You just need that 18-inch microphone with the.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you a different microphone.
That's right. Well, and that goes along with the responsibility of being a pet owner. Is, have your pet spayed and neutered. You can't hardly get an animal from the shelter anymore that's not already been taken care of. Let me break. And we're at a place in our lives where we're not interested in purebred animals anymore. All of our pets from this point forward will be basically foster failures. So if we're in a market for an animal, what we're going to do, and what I would encourage everyone to do, is find a rescue and foster a dog. And if you love that dog, that's fantastic. And if you don't love that dog, help the rescue find a forever family and be available for people to come and visit with the dog and adopt that dog. You might have to have a handful of people come by and visit to finally take a dog. But it's a wonderful opportunity for the dog and for you to kind of fellowship with some folks that are interested in acquiring a new dog. And you can tell all the things you like and that you don't like about this dog. Maybe you don't mention the things you don't like. But in any case, we had several dogs before Doogie came around. Now, Doogie was interesting because we had no intention of keeping Doogie. His name was Ralphie, or I don't remember what his name was. He didn't really respond to that. So clearly the rescue didn't know his actual name and just kind of gave him something that seemed right. Doogie was adopted 4 times while we had him, and he was returned all those times. He had a terrible ear infection when we got him, and we were still in the process of treating him for that. And it's probably not the best idea to have somebody adopt a dog while he's sick, but that ear infection made him grumpy, and his ears were very, very tender. So the first time he went out for adoption, he was returned because they said that he snapped it at a child. Well, I probably would have returned him too under those circumstances. It wasn't a fair shake for Doogie, and so he ended up coming back. But I think he figured out that if he misbehaved for an adoption, people just bring him back here. And he decided that this was going to be...
That was his plan.
His home. So all he had to do was be a rotten dog whenever somebody came to adopt him. And so Julie finally gave up trying to get him out. And it's been great. He's a good dog. And quite frankly, we don't understand why he ended up at the shelter. I'm not really sure. Now, he is expensive. There's a lot of medical stuff going on with him. He's constantly getting ear infections. He has food allergies. He has movement problems. So he's on all kinds of medicines, and those medicines are expensive. Maybe that's why he was adopted or put in a shelter. Let me break. Not really sure, but that's part of being a pet owner, and you have to take those things on as part of the process. Now, the rescue group that we were involved in that Doogie came from, they had no problem with us taking Doogie to their vet, and they would pay for the treatments, they would pay for the vet visit. All of that was never an issue. But we became concerned because he went back several times to the same vet for the same ear infection, and it wasn't getting better. And so we asked the rescue if we could take him to our vet. And they agreed to let us take him to our vet, but they didn't really want to be saddled with, because they don't have any arrangement with that vet. They didn't know what the vet bill was going to be. And so they were a little bit cautious about us spending their money like that. And so to take that concern away, we just said, you know what, we'll pay the vet bill. Just let us take him to our vet. Well, our vet did a little bit of a deeper dive into what the ear infection was. They had cultures done, and there were actually 3 different infections going on in his ears at the same time. So a single treatment wasn't going to fix the problem. He had to have multiple treatments, and one of the treatments had to be completed before the second one could begin. So it was a time-consuming process, and through all of that, he was very, very uncomfortable. Did not want his ears touched. It was very challenging to clean the gook out of his ears on any kind of regularity, which needed to be done to, speed up the healing. But we're past all of that now, and he does still get ear infections, and we treat them immediately, and it doesn't get out of hand like it was when we first got him. So part of being a pet owner, spay and neuter is an important consideration as well. All right. Well, thanks for that information, Flip, about the pet tracker. And if that's something that you think you need, I'll bet those kind of things, all that kind of stuff, when it first comes out is pretty expensive. But a lot of that stuff is so affordable now. So if that's something that you think you can make use of, you definitely should. All right. And with that, we're going to keep right on moving. We have Dallas 64 Josh, and Dallas is in and out. Atlanta 195 Dave in Marietta is in and out. Chattanooga 96 Jeff on YouTube is in and out, naturally because he's on YouTube. And Blue Ridge 93 Robert in Dahlonega, power is out, but he's checking us out on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out with us, and hope the power comes back before the battery dies on your laptop. All right, that's the end of the roster.
That's the end of the list.
So let me break. So I want to go around the room right here and see if we have some pet stories, and then I want to come back and share one of my favorite stories with you with Bailey. But John, do you have any pet stories you want to share?
Oh, there are so many pet stories. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to our family pets, my brother and sister-in-law and their family. They have a couple of Shih Tzus, Roxy and what's her name? I'm gonna get dinged for this one. It's gonna be Roxy and what's her name?
Roxy and what's her name? Okay.
Roxy and what's her name? It'll come back to me in just a second. At my little homestead, got a 15-year-old kitty cat. His name is Tommy.
Do you know that?
I know his name is Tommy.
Okay.
And then also have a 1-year-old that he chose me to be his subject up at Lake Nottely, up at the dam up there. So now I can literally say, I have that darn cat.
Oh, very good.
Very good. Yes, I have that darn cat.
Yeah, I've often threatened that I was going to name our next dog that. Yeah.
It's excellent.
Oh, good stuff. All right, so Roxy and what's her name? Tommy
What's her name?
And darn it.
Dino is actually.
Dino.
Dino. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got the little pattern.
All right.
It's awesome. They're fun. They're fun.
Good stuff. Now, how about you, Mike? Do you have names for all 36 of those chickens?
Oh boy, we have names for. I'm gonna conservatively estimate a third of them. A third of the chickens probably have names. Yeah, 34 chickens. Then we've got 2 cats. One is named Potato. The 5-year-old chose that name. And then the other one is named Pig Cat. The 11-year-old chose that name. Prior to Pig Cat, we had the best cat in the entire world, and his name was Cat Dog. If you've ever seen the show, you'll know the reference, the kids' cartoon. So yeah, just a household of cats and chickens. And no, they don't get along. We don't mix them. The cats mostly stay inside, and the chickens mostly stay outside. Yeah.
There was this one chicken.
There was this one chicken that came in and had a bath in the bathtub. We thought she was egg bound, so she got a warm bath. Try to take care of her, get her feeling back to herself. But I don't think Mama will let the other chickens in the house.
So that was just a scam.
It was. She didn't end up being egg bound.
She just wanted a bath.
She wanted a bath.
Oh.
She sat in that warm water for, I don't know, an hour or two.
So. Very nice. How about you, Jeff? Do you have... we're going to break? Why don't you come back and tell us all about Teddy?
Well, I think the more interesting story for the group to share with tonight is going to be a Sterling story. I mean, we've heard a lot about cats, a lot about dogs, but not too much about birds.
Yeah.
And we got Sterling as when we lost one of our dogs. As I mentioned earlier in the program, that it was just, we were tired of losing a furry friend every 10 years or so. Inevitably, that happens. So we decided to go with a parrot. Let's get a pet that we can build that bond with and, in theory, should outlive us. And it has been an adventure. You have basically the mindset of a 3 to 4-year-old toddler in your house all the time. And she picks up the strangest noises and thinks they're great, and everybody else in the house thinks they're obnoxious. But also, inevitably puts things in context. If the dogs start barking, she'll yell at them to be quiet and knows which one is barking based on the tone of their bark. So that's kind of interesting. And if you heard the beginning of the program with Catch Up with Kate, anytime somebody's on a Teams meeting or something like that, she thinks it's her turn in the spotlight and wants to be the star of the show, whether it was intended or not. So having a parrot is definitely an interesting pet to have that's out of the ordinary. A dog is always a good companion. A cat, if you're a cat person, I'm unfortunately allergic, but those are different companions versus having a bird. Like you had mentioned earlier with the ducks, birds always kind of have their own little attitude, and some of our friends will come over, like Mike will come over, and Sterling just thinks that Mike and Julie are the best thing since sliced bread, and then you go over to her, and she just wants to take your fingers off. So
we've come to an understanding. She only gets so much of my finger. But she does bite my finger almost every time. Yeah.
But she does the smoke alarm noise if anybody walks in the house and doesn't acknowledge her first. She'll do the obnoxious smoke alarm dead battery noise until whoever comes in the house says hi to her. Then she'll stop. So there are definitely quirks with birds that you don't have with other animals.
Well, and, you know, that's an important lesson. If you're going to have a parrot, never let your smoke alarm battery get low.
Yes. There was another story that I'll share real quick. I was on the phone with Gary, Atlanta 60 one day, and Gary's asking me, why are you pushing so many buttons on your radio while we're on the phone? I said, Gary, I'm not. That's Sterling. Sterling has the noise that when you push the button on a Kenwood, down pat. So there's odd little things like that she picks up that she hears quite often, and she'll start talking to folks on the radio. So if we're out of the house for the day or whatever, I'll turn the GMRS network out loud enough so she can hear, and she'll interact with folks and talk to them back and forth all day, even though she doesn't know they can't hear her.
That's fantastic.
Time to break.
All right. Well, good stuff. And one story that I want to share, we had a little dog, the Bailey, the schnoodle, the poodle schnauzer mix, and really probably the smartest dog we've ever had. The dog had an amazing vocabulary, but the other thing that this dog had was a way of conveying to us what she wanted, expected. She did most of it with her eyes, but she could tell us what the expectation was through various parts of the day. And she's the one that told us that we need to take her for regular walks. And walking around the neighborhood was cool, but it was really the opportunity to walk off leash over at the high school campus that she really craved. And so that was kind of neat to learn how to interact with an animal with that level of intelligence and the ability for her to convey to us what she wanted us to do for her. And fun to be able to see the acknowledgement in her eyes when she realizes that we're doing what she wanted.
You got it.
You know, yeah. So that was a really neat thing. But one of the things that often would happen during that era with Bailey, Julie loves to feed birds. And by feeding birds, it really means feeding squirrels. And I got so frustrated because we would fill a bird feeder, and in an hour it would be empty. And the squirrels would just annihilate the food in the bird feeders in just no time at all. And I got so aggravated with that I decided, and I still have the live trap around here somewhere, we're going to trap these squirrels and we're going to haul them away and let them loose and let them be somebody else's bird feeder problem. And so we'd set the trap, a handful of bird seed in a trap, catch a squirrel every day. And so I'd taken several of these squirrels over to the high school and turned them loose. And Bailey would get so excited when there was a squirrel in a trap. And she was just out of her mind about she wanted that squirrel. By golly, she wanted that squirrel. So I would take her with me to the high school to release the squirrel. We'd go out into the middle of the parking lot so she would have a couple 100 feet to chase the squirrel before it would have a tree to run up or anything of that nature. And so that's what we would do. Let me break real quick. That's what we would do. We'd go to the high school in the middle of the parking lot, get the trap out, and set it down on the pavement. Bailey would be running in circles, barking, carrying on, ready to get that squirrel. I would open up the door on that live trap, and that squirrel would take off across the parking lot. And that little dog would take off after that squirrel and sometimes catch it. There were a couple of times that she actually caught the squirrel. I'd yell at her because I don't want her getting tangled up and bitten by the squirrel. I don't want a vet bill out of this. Yeah. So I'd yell at her, and she'd let the squirrel go, and the squirrel would go find a way to hide in the bush or run up a tree or something. And then she'd come trotting back just as happy as could be because she got a squirrel. She did it. There was one time we turned a squirrel loose, and the squirrel, instead of heading for the trees or the high school, headed out across the other end of the parking lot toward the road.
Uh-oh.
Bailey's right behind it. Here's the squirrel heading for the road. Bailey's chasing the squirrel that's heading for the road. And I'm growing a little concerned, and as the squirrel gets to the edge of the parking lot, and there's a grass strip about, 10 feet wide before the edge of the parking lot and the road. So I don't really want Bailey to leave the parking lot. When the squirrel gets to that curb and leaps over it, and Bailey is just right there behind it, I called out to her, "Bailey, no." And Bailey stopped right there on the curb. I don't think her feet were even in the grass. The squirrel kept going. She turned around and trotted back to me. I couldn't have been more proud of that little dog.
Wow.
That was a great testament to how much a dog or an animal trusts that when we issue a command, you just got to do it.
That's it.
Because she may not have understood that there was a road there, and quite frankly, it was not a well-traveled road. Probably there wouldn't have been any problem at all. But I don't want her to think she can run across the road. I don't want to instill that in her. So, I asked her to stop, and she did. And very, very impressed with her behavior, and what a great dog that was. I really, really miss Bailey, and she's a dog that both Julie and I think about quite a lot. So, and she's right here in the backyard, so she'll be here forever. But that's my dog story, and that's the end of our roster. So we'll take one more round of additional check-ins. Any questions or comments? The floor is open. Net Control standing by.
Chattanooga 118 with a comment.
Atlanta 964, Richard in Duluth.
964 is a check-in. Gary Davis checked in on YouTube, 519.
All right.
WRZL 542, Noonan 120. Palmine, Fayetteville, checking in, checking out.
To 933, WRZT 646, Wayne and Canton, checking in and checking out.
WRXB 256, Atlanta 305, checking in. When do you have a comment?
He's already checked in.
Here. Was he in the log?
Yeah, he's checked out though. So he's gonna be right.
All right. Net Control is going to acknowledge this round of check-ins and a couple of comments. We have Atlanta 964 Richard in Duluth is in tonight. We have Atlanta 519 Gary in Marietta is checking in on YouTube. Noonan 120 Carmine in Fayetteville is in and out. In Atlanta 933 Dwayne in Canton in and out. Also have comments from Chattanooga 118 Stewart and Atlanta 305, James. We'll come to those comments here in a moment, but first, let's go to Atlanta 964, Richard in Duluth. Richard, do you have any pet stories you'd like to share with Annette tonight?
Absolutely. Met my wife in 2013, and ever since about 2014, she has, and me by association, have been fostering cats for Planned Parenthood of Georgia. I would say that we have probably had at least 200 cycle through the home. All of them were adopted except for 2 foster fails that she fell in love with and decided to give them a home. And I also have a cat that showed up in the neighborhood, and my wife did a trap neuter release on him, and he just kind of homesteaded in our backyard, just decided he liked the facilities here. And I decided to make it official, adopted him, got him chipped, and he is now a indoor-outdoor, indoor during the night and outdoor during the day cat. About 5 p.m. every afternoon, he's sitting by the front door waiting to get in. So, and we've also done probably 300 or 400 trap neuter returns where you trap community cats, neuter them, and then return them to live off the rest of their life, but they can't reproduce. So that's our story. Back to you, Ned.
Oh, that's fantastic, Richard. And you know, that's the testament to fostering. To have the opportunity to test drive 200 cats, to get the 2 that you really want to keep. You know, you're not going to go to the shelter and be able to take a cat home and then return it. But if you're fostering, taking cats out of the shelter, giving them a temporary home, and let someone else become the permanent family for that animal, it gives you a chance to enjoy that animal, but maybe that animal's not the right fit for you. But you're still doing a benefit to the community, a huge benefit to the animal. And you're making a completely different adoption environment for somebody who's looking for a cat. You know, rather than going to the shelter and grabbing whatever animal looks the cutest, you know, they can get a little bit of history, because although you may not know that in animal's entire history, that's the thing that we often, you know, we just wonder how Doogie ended up in the shelter, because he's been so well behaved here. And he clearly wants to be a part of this family. And just what happened? We'd just like to know the story. And you don't get that a lot of times with rescues. You don't know what the story is. You don't know what their history is. But they come to you with trust and loyalty, and you know, they're there for whatever. And the fact that you can foster animals and quote unquote test drive, get a feel for if this is going to be the right fit for your family or not. And that just makes a great opportunity for that animal to get adopted as well. So great stuff. And you know, the trap neuter release thing that's also a great plan. I don't know what that costs. It's probably a personal expense, and my hat's off for you and your family to take that on, and you know, because that's a demonstration of love and care for the animals in the neighborhood that is definitely above and beyond, you know, what anybody's obligation is. So I appreciate that very much, Richard. Did you have anything else?
No, that's about it. But just a shameless plug that if anybody is looking for a cat, we have plenty at Planned Parenthood of Georgia in Duluth. So check us out on petfinder.com. If you don't adopt from us, adopt from somebody. And as Barb Barker always said, get your pet spayed or neutered. Back to net.
All right. Excellent point. And yeah, Bob Barker sitting right here beside me tonight. Next on the list, I have Atlanta 519. Gary is a YouTube check-in. Also have Noonan 120 Carmine in Fayetteville is in and out. We have Atlanta 933 Dwayne in Canton is in and out. And Bob Barker has a comment. Go ahead.
Apologies for my memory lapse earlier, but Sophie, Roxy, you got some chicken nuggets.
Okay,
Those are my
Sophie.
brother's dogs. I remember the name. Sophie.
All right, Sophie. We knew
Cutest
that.
dog. Cutest dog. Both of them.
What's her
awesome.
name?
Sophie. Yeah, her name. What? What's her name?
Fantastic. All right, we also have a couple of comments from Chattanooga 118 and Atlanta 305. Let's go to Stuart first. Chattanooga 118, go ahead.
So, I would like to apologize in advance, but my ADHD brain latched onto this right at the beginning. So, it was referenced in the opening of the net how large our coverage area was, but it was referred to in a measurement of parsecs. But parsecs are a linear distance somewhere about 3.25 light years long. So although our network is significant, we are not that, and also you didn't say squared, so it wouldn't work. My apologies again. Thank you.
Square parsecs?
Yeah. Yeah, those are values that are unverified, but you can get the correct information from your mom.
Wait. I think
No?
Stuart and Tom need to sit together at the barbecue, and they can do all the math. That way, after the barbecue, we'll have all our numbers right. Because Stuart and Tom are very worried about the mathematical equations. So
I'm really not concerned with whether or not the numbers are right. It's more important just that they're there. So random numbers are completely fine as far as I'm concerned. But our coverage area is certainly immense. And as Tom pointed out along the way, we often measure our coverage area in square miles. And radio frequencies do not propagate as a flat plane. They propagate in all directions. And so a cubic measure of coverage area is appropriate. So there you go. That's,
if
that's all we have.
And maybe for a broadcast, if UHF could actually reach out of the troposphere, you would be transmitting in parsecs.
Who says it can't?
Who says it can't?
I mean, we talk UHF to the space station.
That's right.
If
once it gets out of that orbit, that's true.
So as far as I'm concerned, that's space. We're out there, man.
Yeah, you're out there.
Out
all right.
there. All right. Well, good stuff, Stuart. Thanks for bringing that up. And we definitely need to, we do need to firm up those estimated values. We do have a way of calculating our approximate coverage area, but I have more faith in random numbers. All right, with that, let's move on to Atlanta 305. James in Atlanta. James, did you have a comment for the net tonight?
Yeah, I have Mr. Reggie, who is an intelligent cat. And we have two foster cats, and he is he is a love bug. Sits on my lap all day long, and so Mr. Reggie is the best little kitty that you could imagine.
And there you have it. And that's the magic of these animals, is that they often give so much more than they ask for. And the cuddling and the just their presence, being engaged in what we do, is such a cool thing. And that's one of the things when the ducks were here, that oftentimes when I'm out here working on something, if I've got to get down, if I'm working on a lawnmower, changing spark plugs, changing oil, stuff like that, You know, I had to worry about the duck getting into oil because she was so curious about what I was doing. She was just right there and engaged in everything that I would do. And the chickens sometimes were just as bad. One chicken in particular that we had was very much like a dog and would follow you right into the house. And she did several times. You'd have to be careful about leaving a door open because she would come in. And so all these animals have just a tremendous range of personalities, and no matter what the animal is, they often give far more than they take. Just not so much in cost, but in the value of their presence, and that's fantastic stuff. So thank you for that, James. And with that is the end of the program. So what did we end up with for check-ins tonight? What's our number?
Well, if we count one more that slipped in on YouTube, we'll be at 76 chickens.
76. So let's go ahead and acknowledge Atlanta 943. James in Marietta, our last YouTube check-in. So 76.
76.
Fantastic. How many of those were YouTube? Do we know?
I can count. I can get a count for you.
You can count?
3, 7, 8, 12. I'm not off to a good start.
3, 7, 8, 12. You
3,
count
7,
just
8,
like
12.
I do.
12 YouTube check-ins that I specifically noted.
You can tell he's not a sound guy, otherwise it would only be 2.
Well, 13 because I didn't have the checkbox checked for James. 13 at least.
13. Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out with us tonight, especially the YouTube folks. For those that may not be aware, we do have a live stream of our nets on YouTube. So if you go there, don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget that the comments that you make on the YouTube channel also go a long way to show engagement in the channel and help the channel to grow. So with that, we're going to wrap things up. This will conclude the North Georgia GMRS Regional Nets. Tonight we had a total of 76 check-ins, including myself and the rest of the net controllers. Net control will now be returning the repeaters back to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. I want to say thanks for all of... Well, before I do that, I want to just mention quickly, tonight's net is dedicated to the memory of Roscoe Wolf. He was a good boy. Thanks for allowing us to serve as your net control this evening. This is Atlanta 946 WQYR 514. My name is Justin.
This is Atlanta 829 WROI 773. My name is John.
I am WRWM 344 Blue Ridge 63. My name is Mike.
And Atlanta 750 WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
We are North Georgia GMRS Network.
And we are clear. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.